I am really happy to be here with you guys today showing you the Digitone combined with the Microcosm. These two guys are made for each other. They're really happy to be on the same team. We'll be taking a look at how to sync these and just what the presets of the Microcosm sound like with the Digitone. I've also been exploring Midi Mapping with the Microcosm through the Digitone, so we'll be exploring that as well. Today's sponsor is DistroKid. They are a music distribution platform with a ton of features that you may not know about. We'll be checking out Playlist Spotlight, which is a feature that gives you a chance to get your music onto a DistroKid Spotify playlist. Some of their playlists are pushing 200,000 followers, so this is an interesting feature to check out for sure. More on that later. I am Killen, and let's get started with the Digitone and Microcosm best friends. Alright, so if you are blessed with both of these machines but do not know how to tempo sync them together yet, or if you have other pedals that you'd like to tempo sync with the Digitone, you'll need one of these. This is a MIDI cable. The MIDI single is coming from the Digitone, so I'll be plugging into MIDI out sync A. Let me just do that first. Oops. Sorry, let me do that for a second. And I'm plugging into the MIDI in of the Microcosm. Okay, we're good. On the Digitone, hit Save Project, go down to MIDI Configuration, Sync, and Clock Send. So that's this one here. Make sure that's ticked. Now you're set, so go back to your track, press play, and you'll see that it's synced. And if I change the tempo, it should sync to that as well. So cool. I love that. We'll play through this track and we'll take a look at some of the Microcosm presets just to give you an idea of what it sounds like. There's a bunch of different categories and presets that you could scroll through right here. I personally like to go with interrupt for this sort of rhythmic 4 on the floor sort of thing. The reason why is because interrupt is a bit more of a rhythmic preset, so they kind of just go hand in hand. You'll see. FYI, pretty much anything that you run through the Microcosm is going to sound amazing. Like, that's just a given. Whether it's tempo synced or not. It's especially great for ambient and spacey type melodies. It just makes everything sound pure and organic. At this point, the space knob is a little bit intense for me. I find that there's too much release on it. So to change that, hit Shift, and now you could change the length of your reverb time. Something a bit shorter. Let's try that. I would say that the two knobs that have the most prominent effect overall are activity and repeats. Man, I just love it. It sounds like a storm. There's also a reverse looping effect, which is it's just gold. Let's take a look at one more preset. We'll check out Haze. This one's a bit less rhythmic. So that's the preset alone. You're hearing just the Microcosm at this point. Right, so this one's just a bit more spacey, less rhythmic. Definitely endless amounts of fun to be had there. So now we're gonna go a step deeper. We're gonna look into MIDI mapping the effects of the Microcosm through the Digitone. I don't know about you, but I only have 2 hands. With Midi Mapping, you could set the CC that this channel is communicating, the Digitone, to make things move on the Microcosm. So essentially we could set an LFO to control knobs and parameters on the Microcosm, which sort of acts as like a third and fourth hand and just makes things sound more organic. Hit MIDI and Synth to open up MIDI settings. Notice that track 1 is armed over here, so this is our first MIDI channel, which is armed. We're currently still on Synth 1, Function, and Knob A to choose MIDI channel 1. You could assign to other MIDI channels, but for now we're just going to go with channel 1. Head over to Filter. Notice once again I'm still in MIDI mode. Function, Knob A to open up this first channel. Now I have control over it. So at this point the channel's open, but we're not controlling anything. So head over to Amp. This is where you set the CC that the Digitone is controlling over here on the Microcosm. So where do you find all this information? To figure out this whole CC situation with the Microcosm, you actually have to go to their website, search for the manual, scroll all the way to the bottom of the manual, and the CCs are all there. If you want to get to it quickly, I've linked that in the description as well. With some of these parameters, it's kind of hard to tell the direct effect that it's having on the track. So we're going to start with something really obvious like reverb, just to make sure that everything is working correctly. So I'm going to set this CC to 12, which is reverb. You'll find that in the manual. Now head back to Filter, and this CC value is controlling the reverb of the Microcosm. Okay, so it's having a clear effect, so it's working. Now that we know that this is working, let's actually go back to Amp and change this CC select to 6, which is activity. This is the point where we can add an LFO or a third hand like I mentioned earlier. So head over to LFO, destination, we're gonna go down to CC value 1. I'm gonna go back to Filter, put this to full blast for now, LFO. We could change the speed, the depth of the LFO, the wave. I'm gonna change it to a sine. Let's hear this. Whoa. Like I mentioned, it's difficult to pinpoint what this parameter is actually doing, but it's definitely doing something. This is just a great way to add randomness and depth to your tracks. It just sounds a bit more organic. Why would I stop here though? Let's do the same thing with space. So I'm gonna go to track 2, open up the channel again, channel 1, filter, open this up so the CC value is open. Gonna go to Amp, set this to 12, which is reverb. Let's hear it. Lots of reverb. I'm gonna head to LFO, destination, we're gonna go to CC value 1, and I'm gonna change the speed a little bit, maybe a square wave. You know, experiment with this. A little intense, but I do like what it's doing. This is an ideal setup for a live set because you have 2 extra hands or more, up to 4 hands working for you. And then you obviously have 2 of your own hands to focus on whatever else. Let's talk about that DistroKid feature now. If you're looking to distribute your own music, the starting rate is $20 a year to release unlimited music to all major streaming platforms. They have this new playlist feature, it's called Spotlight Playlist. Basically, you submit one of your tracks to DistroKid and it becomes subject to vote. If your track gets enough votes, then it'll be featured on one of DistroKid Spotify playlists. Some of their playlists are pushing 200,000 followers at this point, so you'll be getting some real exposure from it. I actually just submitted a track this week. Here's how to get there. Go to your homepage, goodies, Get Heard Now, Playlist Spotlight. This opens up a page where you're able to vote on other people's tracks. And then on the top right, you could add your own track. If your track gets enough votes, you'll make it into one of DistroKid's Spotify playlists. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you're into this sort of content. Links to other Digitone content also in the description. And we are done here. See you guys later.